Imagine being trapped in a building with someone who's losing their mind and wants to kill you. Oh, and the building you're in is in the middle of a frozen wasteland with no cops and no neighbors for hundreds of miles. And you're gonna be stuck there for another 10 months. This is actually happening. As we speak, scientists are trapped in Antarctica facing pure terror. So imagine you're dropped into the middle of a frozen wasteland in the middle of Antarctica, 105 miles from the edge of the ice shelf and thousands of miles from anything resembling civilization. A real crew is holed up at a place called Sanae IV, a South African research base. A place where you can't drive out, you can't hike out, the only way off is by aircraft, and in winter, flying is pretty much impossible unless you're willing to gamble with death. Once winter sets in, you're locked in. The weather turns into a monster. Hurricane-force winds, whiteout blizzards, and temperatures that'll freeze your eyelashes off. The nearest base you could maybe reach is a German one, and it's over 190 miles away across pure ice, but that's assuming the weather's even remotely survivable, which it isn't. So what if something goes wrong? What if someone on the crew starts acting off, and then they snap, threatening everyone else on the team? Well, you can't just go cool off or take a break from your psycho coworker. You're trapped in a building with them for 10 more months. There's no safe room, no cops, you don't even have neighbors to scream for. Just you, the cold, and the people inside who may or may not be losing their minds as well. What I'm describing here basically sounds like the plot of The Thing, but this really did happen. Actually, it's currently happening. So it looks like some South African scientists in Antarctica are stuck in a pretty scary situation. One of the scientists at the base sent this chilling email to South African authorities. In it, they said they no longer felt safe because of a violent and unstable colleague. The message described a terrifying situation where tensions had escalated past the breaking point. According to the email, the worker physically attacked another colleague. Even more alarming, the man then, quote, threatened to kill said person, creating this environment of fear and intimidation. I remain deeply concerned about my own safety, constantly wondering if I might become the next victim. And then they went on to say that the man's, quote, increasingly egregious behavior required immediate action, and added, I am experiencing significant difficulty in feeling secure in his presence. So now, in one of the most dangerous and remote places on Earth, a crew of scientists is stuck inside a building with someone who's already crossed the line into violence, and they're supposed to be there for another 10 months. According to South Africa's Environment Minister Deon George, the situation started with a verbal altercation between the team leader and the accused man, but it didn't end there. Going on to say it, quote, escalated, and then that person did physically assault the leader. That means the head of the entire operation, someone trained to manage both scientific research and handle any tension between the members of the team, was physically attacked by one of his own crew. Now, in most workplaces, attacking your boss would get you fired or arrested, but as I said, here, there's no police station, there's no HR department. Where are you supposed to send this person? All you've got are the walls around you and the people inside. The isolation itself was already extreme, but now they have something even more terrifying to deal with. A man in the building who's already snapped once and who said they might do it again. So let's get into the real psychological hellhole that starts to form when someone on the crew goes off the rails. Because it's not just about this one guy losing it, right? It's what does it do to everyone else stuck inside with him that really sends things spiraling. You're locked in with the same faces day in, day out for months. There's no sunlight, there's no privacy. It's just recycled air and the sound of the same guy chewing too loud across the dining table. That alone can drive people nuts. But now, imagine one of those faces is someone who's already flipped, attacked a teammate, and threatened to kill someone. Suddenly, every little interaction starts to feel dangerous. Now everyone's looking over their shoulder. People stop making eye contact. Conversations are uneasy. Every whisper, every closed door chat starts to feel like some secret plan is going on. Who's siding with who? Who might snap next? It doesn't take long before paranoia becomes the default state of the entire group. Even if the violent guy gets isolated, the damage is already done. Nobody's sleeping right, nobody trusts each other, and the thing is, paranoia in a place like that is contagious. One person starts locking their door at night and suddenly everyone's doing it. They don't even have to say why, it just spreads. Because now the thought is there. What if I'm next? You've got 10 months of this. 10 months of quietly wondering who might lose it and whether you'll be in the same room when they do. So clearly, being in a situation like this requires more than just dealing with the harsh cold. It's mentally brutal. When winter hits, you're locked inside for months. At Sanae IV, storms and sub-zero temperatures mean you literally cannot leave the building. It's not an exaggeration. You can't go for a walk, you can't get fresh air. The isolation can seriously mess with your head. Scientists in Antarctica often go weeks without stepping outside, and that does take a toll. There's barely any sunlight. Your sleep cycle starts to unravel, and sometimes so can your mind. Some researchers report vivid dreams, hallucinations even, and intense waves of paranoia. It's easy to break down under the pressure. This kind of psychological strain even has a name, winter over syndrome, and it's not rare. Now, according to past reports from Antarctic crews, it's almost expected that someone will eventually crack under the pressure. In fact, this isn't even the first time something like this has happened. Back in 2018, a Russian scientist at Bellingshausen Station attacked a coworker with a blade, allegedly because the guy kept spoiling the endings of books he was reading. And in 2000, an Australian doctor had to perform emergency surgery on herself because evacuation wasn't possible. So when people say Antarctica drives you crazy and things can go wrong, it's not a joke. You take one part complete isolation, one part extreme boredom, throw in a dash of paranoia and sleeplessness, and you've got a perfect recipe for disaster. What's happening at Sanae IV may be terrifying, but it's not surprising. It's not out there. Antarctica is the most hostile environment on Earth, a place where nature doesn't just challenge you, it actively tries to kill you, sorta. During the winter, temperatures at bases like Sanae IV can drop below -50 degrees Celsius or -58 Fahrenheit. That kind of cold isn't just uncomfortable, that's lethal. Expose your skin for a few minutes and you risk frostbite. Stay out too long, you'll freeze solid, and it gets worse. The sun completely vanishes for months. From May to August, the continent plunges into total darkness, and the only light you have comes from headlamps and flickering bulbs inside the base. That can easily cause sleep disorders and just tank your mental health. And then there's the wind as well. Antarctica is known for what's called katabatic winds, where denser cold air is violently pulled down slopes, and these winds can hit hurricane speeds, burying equipment, damaging things, making it nearly impossible to venture outside. And this is why Sanae IV is essentially a sealed box during winter. As the South African Environment Minister Dion George put it, you can imagine what it's like to be in such close quarters under these circumstances. And he wasn't exaggerating. It's no wonder cabin fever runs rampant. Alright, so here's the real nightmare fuel. What if it gets worse? Right now, one person has already been attacked. There are death threats. Tensions are through the roof. Everyone's on edge. So, what happens if the guy making threats snaps again? What if next time it's not just a punch or some shouting match? What if someone else snaps too? If it escalates again, the team's only real option is to just keep themselves alive and hope they can manage the situation until conditions are safe enough for help to show up, which could be months away. And we've established how bad it is, how bad it could be, so what is the solution? Well, the South African government had to act fast. The Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment, which oversees these missions, launched an investigation right away, but their hands were kind of tied from the jump. You can't just call in a rescue helicopter, as I said, and the Environment Minister admitted that while they were trying to calm things down, extracting anyone from the base just wasn't really on the table. not in the middle of an Antarctic winter. The base is over 100 miles inland, and the weather outside is so brutal, it'll ground any aircraft. So the government is doing what they can, trying to manage it from afar. They got in contact with the team, checked in on the mental and physical condition of the people there, and just tried to ease tensions over Zoom, I guess. But that's just damage control. They know full well that if things spiral even further, there's no help coming, at least not for a while. It's like having, a hostage situation, but your hostages are stuck in a blizzard on Mars, and the only thing the authorities can do is, email them and just hope for the best. Pretty freaky. Now, here's hoping things don't get any worse, but after this whole nightmare, one thing is very clear. The way people are screened for these missions is probably going to need to change. And right now, yeah, they do have psychological evaluations, of course. They try to make sure you're not going to snap after 2 months in a windowless bunker with nothing but frozen noodles and the same 5 faces to keep you company, but clearly that system's got holes in it. The incident basically kicked the door open on a conversation that's been simmering for years. Should people be living like this in the first place? Total isolation, zero sunlight, no fresh air, no way out. One little crack, one bad argument, one unstable person in the mix, and suddenly, well, you're living like Kurt Russell in The Thing. Pretty much the worst case scenario you can imagine. With all that said, I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.